You ever had one of those days where life sucker punches you? Like, 1 second you think you're just going in for a boring work checkup, and the next, you're holding a pregnancy test in one hand and watching your husband pull his pants up in front of another woman? Yeah. That was my Tuesday. My name's Rachel. I'm 35, a nurse in a mid-size hospital just outside Denver. I've been doing this job for over a decade. Long shifts, emergency calls, patients that pull you into their stories. I love it. Really, I do. I like feeling useful, needed. But it's not always easy being the reliable one when you don't have kids. The others always say, Rachel, you're free, you don't have to rush home to toddlers or husbands who can't cook for themselves. Can you cover? And I always do. Because my husband Mike? He never complains. Don't worry about me, babe. I'll survive a night without you. That morning, I rushed into the hospital early for our annual employee checkups. Gotta get through those before starting my shift or I'd have to stay late. I hate staying late after an overnight. One by one, I got through every doctor. Just the gynecologist left. Quick, routine. Nothing new. I was already zipping up my scrub top when the doctor looked up and said, casually, like it was just a weather report. Everything looks normal. The pregnancy is developing as expected. I'd recommend you get officially registered soon, given your age. My fingers froze on the zipper. I'm sorry, what pregnancy? He glanced at me over his glasses, confused. You're pregnant. Around 8 weeks. Didn't you know? I didn't move. Didn't breathe. I felt my stomach drop through the floor. Pregnant? Me? We tried for years. Me and Mike. Appointments. Fertility tests. Crying in the bathroom more times than I could count. And nothing. Eventually, we just stopped talking about it. And now, a routine checkup blindsides me with this? He printed out the confirmation, handed it to me, and that was that. I walked out of the office like I was underwater. Everything felt surreal. Voices muffled, colors muted. I made it to the staff room somehow. My best friend Lisa, another nurse, was there scrolling through her phone. Rachel? You look like a ghost. What's up? I sat down hard. Lisa, you don't happen to have a pregnancy test, do you? She stared. Then, without saying a word, opened her locker, rummaged through a chaotic stash of everything from mascara to protein bars, and pulled out 2 pregnancy tests. She was the kind of woman who always had everything. I practically sprinted to the bathroom. 5 minutes later, I was standing in that little white-tiled stall, 2 tests in hand. My heart thudding like it wanted out. I looked down. 2 pink lines. Then again, on the second test. Clear. Bold. Undeniable. Pregnant. I started crying. And laughing. And crying again. I didn't know if it was joy or fear or disbelief. Maybe all 3. This was the thing I'd stopped hoping for. The thing I buried deep down, just so it wouldn't hurt so much. And now it was real. So I did the only thing I could think to do. I left work. I told the charge nurse I felt sick. Not a lie. Just, not the full truth. I needed to see Mike. To tell him. To feel his arms around me and say, we did it. Finally. We're going to be parents. But that's not what happened. Not even close. The city moved slow that day, slower than usual. Or maybe it was just me, stuck in my head, trying to imagine Mike's face when I told him. I pictured his smile, his arms wrapped around me, the way he'd whisper something dumb like, told you miracles happen, babe. That's what I wanted to believe. Instead, I opened the front door to see a stranger wrapped in our living room throw blanket. She looked younger. Prettier. And terrified. Sitting right there, on our couch. Mike was there too, shirtless, scrambling to zip up his jeans. My eyes locked on his belt buckle like it might explain everything. It didn't. My stomach twisted. The test in my hand nearly slipped from my fingers. What the hell is going on? I asked. But it came out small, like I was talking in a dream. Mike blinked, startled. Rachel, wait. You're home early. I didn't feel well, I said slowly. So I came home. The other woman didn't move. Just sat frozen in place, eyes darting between us. There was silence. Then Mike let out a breath like he was the one who'd been hurt. Rachel, I didn't mean for this to happen. Oh, so it just happened? I said. My voice was getting louder now, shaking with disbelief. What is this? A misunderstanding? A therapy session with your pants off? Can we not do this right now? He snapped. Can we talk like adults? I laughed, actually laughed. Mike. I'm holding a pregnancy test. We're not in a therapy session. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is you cheating on your wife on a Tuesday afternoon. He looked down. Saw the test. His face went pale. Rachel. I didn't want excuses. I wanted my husband. I wanted the version of him who used to leave love notes in my lunch bag. Who used to cry with me when the tests came back negative. Who swore that no matter what, we were in this together. But that man was gone. And the one in front of me, he was just empty. I'm pregnant, I said again, this time louder, clearer. I am pregnant, Mike. He sat down slowly, like the weight of that sentence finally hit him. But he didn't say congratulations. Didn't say sorry. He said, are you sure? I stared at him. You seriously think I'd lie about this? I didn't say that. It's just, damn, Rachel. Why now? Why now? My throat tightened. Because that's how life works sometimes. You stop trying. You give up. And then, out of nowhere, you get the thing you wanted most, just in time for it to be ruined. He stood up, pacing. Look. I didn't think this would be forever. I thought we were broken already. She was there. And you've been so distant lately. Distant? I spat. You think I've been distant? Maybe it's because I was too busy picking up extra shifts so we could afford another round of IVF that you bailed on. He rubbed his temples. I can't deal with this. Not like this. You already dealt with it, Mike. With her. He grabbed his jacket. I'll come back when you've calmed down. Don't bother. He paused at the door, and without turning around, said something I'll never forget. Think about why I went looking elsewhere. Maybe you'll realize it wasn't all my fault. Then he was gone. I stood there for a full minute. Maybe longer. Just staring at the door. Then I looked down at the test still in my hand. The lines were still there, bright, undeniable. I was still pregnant. But the joy had drained out of the moment. All I felt was alone. I sank onto the kitchen floor, wrapped my arms around my knees, and sobbed. I didn't know what came next. But I knew I couldn't stay there. I didn't sleep that night. I laid on the couch because the bed felt haunted. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them, him and her, like a replay I couldn't shut off. By morning, I had one thing on my mind, leave. I didn't have a plan. Just a gut feeling that I couldn't breathe under the same roof. Not anymore. I texted Lisa. Can I crash with you for a few days? She didn't even ask why. Absolutely. Come now. I'll make coffee. I stuffed what I could into 2 bags. Clothes. My prenatal forms. Toothbrush. The test. I paused at the dresser, picked up the little ceramic angel I bought when our second IVF failed. I kept it for hope. Then I left. I didn't leave a note. Didn't call Mike. He didn't deserve a goodbye. Lisa lived in a small bungalow across town, cozy and warm, always smelling like cinnamon. She opened the door in pajama pants and hugged me before I even spoke. I broke down again right there on her porch. We sat on her couch, legs tucked under us like we were teenagers again. I told her everything. The checkup. The test. The girl. The way he looked at me like I ruined his day. She listened. No advice. No judgment. Just held my hand. Later that day, her brother stopped by. His name was Daniel. He was tall, quiet, kind eyes that looked like they'd seen pain and stayed soft anyway. He brought over a toolbox to fix her leaky faucet. We'd met once at a barbecue years ago, but I barely remembered. Lisa introduced us again. Daniel, this is Rachel. She's staying with me for a bit. He didn't ask why. Just smiled. Good to meet you again. If you need anything, I'm just next door. I thanked him and forgot it. But Daniel didn't forget me. He showed up again the next day. And the day after. Fixing things that didn't need fixing. Bringing extra muffins. Asking how I liked my coffee. And one day, when Lisa was at work, he knocked on the door holding a small plastic bin. I thought you might want your own drawer in the bathroom. I mean, if you're staying a while. No pressure. No expectations. Just kindness. And for the first time since that awful Tuesday, I smiled. Weeks passed. I found a part-time job at a local clinic, just to stay busy and keep my mind from spiraling. Lisa let me stay as long as I needed. Daniel, true to his word, kept showing up. Quiet support. No pressure. Just presence. The kind that doesn't ask for anything in return. One Saturday morning, I found him on the porch with a cup of coffee and a book in his lap. I sat beside him. For a while, we didn't talk. Just sipped coffee and watched the trees sway. Then I said it. I'm scared. He didn't ask why. He just nodded like he understood. Me too, he said. That surprised me. He smiled, noticing. I was scared when I got divorced. Scared I'd never love again. That I'd always be angry, always be broken. But healing, it's slow. It's not linear. Some days you forget the pain. Some days you choke on it. And some days, you sit on a porch with someone who makes you feel like maybe, just maybe, you're not broken anymore. I didn't know what to say. So I leaned my head on his shoulder. That afternoon, I started packing up my things from Lisa's place. Not because I felt unwanted, but because I finally felt ready. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment not far from the clinic. Nothing fancy. Just, mine. Mine and the baby's. Daniel helped me move. He carried boxes, built furniture, stocked my fridge with things I liked. And one night, after he finished fixing the shower head and wiped sweat from his brow, he looked at me and said, I know you're not ready. And that's okay. But I want you to know, this baby, it doesn't scare me. You don't scare me. I'm not going anywhere. I burst into tears. Not because I was sad. Because someone finally chose me. Without conditions. Without shame. Without pretending. Months flew by. Mike never called. Never checked in. Which honestly, was a blessing. I filed for divorce. Quietly. Cleanly. He didn't fight it. And Daniel was there. At every appointment. Every grocery trip. Every midnight craving. When I went into labor, he drove me to the hospital, held my hand the whole time. And when I held my daughter for the first time, yes, a daughter, I looked at him and said, You still in? He kissed my forehead. Forever. We named her Grace. And every night, I hold her, look out the window of our little home, and remember that pain isn't the end of a story. Sometimes, it's just the plot twist before the miracle.